I just got done doing some Simulator Universe runs because I wanted to get the new set on my Seal. I figured, why not go ahead and try to get it, because it is now her best in slot. Yo, what up, Toshi here. My new Seal build is honestly crushing enemies just because the new set allows Seal to do even more damage. I love the fact that you can buff all of her kit rather than just focusing on one part of it. Let's hop right into it. So for quite a while now, your best bet for increasing Seal's damage across the board was going to be Triple S, which is the Space Sealing Station, right? That planar set. That set allows your Seal to do damage, more increased damage with her ultimate, her basic attack, and an elemental skill. And since she's a character that does damage a decent amount with all of her abilities and she gets resets with killing the enemy, you ideally wanted something to buff all parts of her kit, just so you can focus down on actually killing enemies and getting an additional turn. Now, for some of us, if you were using a Seal that was focused on using her ultimate to kill enemies, and let's say you used her with Ting Yun, you're probably going to use the Sao Sato set because this increases your ultimate damage by 15%, and you get some increased crit rate, which is very good for any damage dealer. And considering Seal is a character that has a very high hitting ultimate multiplier, you ideally wanted to not only have this character have a high crit rate, but you also wanted her ultimate to deal as much damage as possible, because again, you really want to one-shot the enemy or be very close to killing the enemy with this. And while that ultimate multiplier was in conjunction with the resurgence multiplier, because this goes on top of the ult and dealing that one high hitting number to the enemy. And it just didn't help that the ultimate did cost 120 energy for the character, so it really felt like she promoted an all or nothing playstyle. It's a, feast or famine, I would say. And long ago, Triple S, as I said before, Space Sealing Station, was the best bet for Seal if you wanted to deal as much damage as possible with all parts of her kit. But 24% attack is not that much. This set has really been overshadowed by sets that have been added to the game later on. Fast forward with the release of Daniel, we ended up getting the Rudolon Arena set, which increases your crit rate by 8%, and it gives your basic attack and elemental skill 20% increased damage. And for a character like Seal, that wants to kill the enemies with her elemental skill and her basic attack to get an additional turn, this was really good for the character. So I was under the impression that Rudolon Arena was not that good for Seal, and that's because I used her with Ting Yun and I had a lot of way of getting more energy. Fast forward to the release of Huo allows this character to ult more often, so you're not really taking advantage of the Rudolon Arena because your ult dealt so much damage and you didn't really have any way of buffing the ultimate damage either. And now the addition of 1.5 in the 2-piece planar set, you're able to increase your attack percentage, which is very good for damage dealers in general, and when your speed is 135 or 160, which is speed threshold Seal is going to hit very reliably, you increase up to 18% more damage, and this is for the whole kit of the character, your basic attack, your elemental skill, and your ultimate. The only difference is you're not getting the 8% crit rate, which is a deal breaker for a lot of players. But there's one thing you need to take into consideration about Seal and the release of certain characters. For some players, you probably ended up getting some copies for Seal on her rerun, or maybe you even got her best in slot Lycoon, which gives more crit rate to the character. So it's not even like you were struggling with crit rate because there is even more sources or ways of getting crit rate for the character. Ushuan gives your character up to 12% crit rate, which is a big deal. That's 12% on top of maybe you have her 5-star Lycoon or maybe you don't. Maybe you're using the 5-star Herder Lycoon. That's 28% crit rate right there. And then you maybe have Eidolon 1, maybe you don't. But you're getting crit rate from not only her weapon, but from Ushuan as well. All you needed was crit rate from your Genius or Brilliant Star set, which most Seal mains have been farming since day one. And you're probably at the point where you have a really good set, so the 8% crit rate is not going to be that big deal for you. But if you are a new player, it's probably in your best interest to just go for the planar set that gives crit rate to the damage dealer, because again, you're probably struggling for the crit stats anyways if you're this early on in Honkai Star Rail. So another cool thing with the addition of this planar set, my Silver Rules build actually did improve, because I literally took the planar set I had of my Seal and I just gave it to my Silver Rule, because Silver Rule's ultimate does a lot of damage as well. So Inarso Soto is pretty good for the character in my opinion, if you plan to use her as a DPS of course. So with certainty, I can finally say that Seal's personal damage is not going to get much higher than this. Well, she's a character with the more investment you put into her, the more damage she will be doing. So the more crit stats and more attack you provide the character means she's going to hit extremely hard. Now there is one thing I want to mention. I'll show you my Seal stats. Now these are my Seal stats. I have almost 3,500 attack, which is a massive amount of attack for a damage if I'm being honest, without attack buffs from your supporters of course. And then I have 119 speed. Speed is important on the character. Well, she increased her own speed with her elemental skill, But you want speed if you have her 5-star light cone, of course. And if you are using the new planar set, you definitely do want to have a little bit of speed in the character just so you can hit 160. And then I do have 64 crit rate and 221 crit damage. The crit rate is kind of low. You obviously want to have 80% crit rate and higher on this character at all times, just so you can reliably land her ultimate damage. This character really needs to, because she is a one-hitter quitter, right? If you don't land the ultimate damage, you're probably going to cry about it. So having Fu Xuan allow me to hit up to 76, 77 crit rate, which is pretty high, but I want to have a better build than this, so I'm going to continue farming the planar set because these pieces can be replaced and are honestly not that good. Now, the cool thing about the other planar set is that this is a huge buff for not only Fu Xuan, but a character like Silverwolf as well. The energy regeneration rate is very nice for those characters because they get their ultimate much more often. And then the 10% increased damage to all allies that are of the same typing, in this case Quantum, is extremely strong for the mono Quantum team. And this 10% damage bonus stacks. So if you have 2 or even 3 characters in a team party, fast forward, we have the Quantum Harmony character, you're going to give 30% damage bonus to the whole team. So this is the team I'm still currently using. This team hasn't changed ever since the release of Fu Xuan, but you have 2 characters giving 20% increased damage to the whole team. And then you have Bronya, a character that does not fit this team whatsoever, but she is just a good alternative for now. Once we do receive that Quantum Harmony character, it'll be 30% increased damage going to the whole team, which every character here I build as a damage dealer, honestly. And it just helps with funding the resources towards Seele anyways. And then we'll get a further damage boost because of Planetary Rendezvous, because that character will also be Quantum. So we're getting up to 54% increased damage for the Quantum element. That is huge if you think about it. So if you're looking for Seele to do much more personal damage going forward, I wouldn't be looking at the character, but more so what can you provide for the character in terms of other characters in Honkai Star Rail. Look towards more characters like Fu Xuan and other relic sets or planar sets that benefits the team and her as well in the process. Then I believe Seele will become a much better character. I think she's amazing now, and honestly, I'm very sad that she is an S. I really do believe she deserves to be a double S character because she is extremely hard-hitting and very good. So there you have it. It may be biased that I believe Seele should be S tier because of all of the stuff the character has received in the recent past, and just because she is still one of the hardest hitting characters of one of the best elements in the game. I mean, is that really too much to ask for the character to be S tier? But again, who am I to be asking where the character should be placed on tier list? Because I have no involvement of them whatsoever. But in my heart, she is a S character. In fact, she is the best damage dealer in the game, I will say that. Maybe not in literally, but I just think she is, personally. That's going to be the video here. Hopefully you got something out of this. Going forward, as I said before, just look towards getting other characters to buff up Seele, not more so what Seele can do for herself, just what they can do for her and the team as well. That's it. Thank you for watching and have a nice rest of your day. Peace. Well, that ended pretty badly. I guess I'm going to continue farming.